Okay, well, I've got my slip here, I've got my toothpick, I've got my sleeves all pushed up. We don't want to get our clothes dirty. And you should have already picked the animal you want to do for your second pinch pot. And you should have already watched the 4 stages of clay. And you should already have a sketch made of your animal that you want to make for your second pinch pot. I have my first pinch pot here. I'm going to let it sit out while I work and become more leather hard. Right now it's pretty plastic, pretty bendable, and that'll allow me to do some carving into it when it's more leather hard. And okay, so I'm going to get started on my second pinch pot animal. And I know that you've already watched a video about how to make a pinch pot animal, so I'm going to just be pretty quick about all of this just as a review. When you get your clay, it's going to be more a rectangular prism, so you can just start to pat it down and get it more squatty, more like a cube, and then you start patting into the corners to make a sphere. And just rolling it in your hands. Okay, so I've got my sphere here. Remember, we push into it with our thumb straight in, go almost to the bottom, and then you pinch as you turn. I'm working down in the bottom. I'm using the alligator pinch. You don't want to use the hurt pinch, more like that. Working in the bottom, and now working in the middle area, and now working up in the top. Just pinching the clay and pulling it as you go around. Remember, we're not wanting to go too thin. We want our areas to be 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick, about as thick as your pointer finger or your thumb if you have skinny fingers. Okay, that should work good. Now I have already prepared my pieces to attach based off my sketch. I have here a piece for my tail, 2 pieces. And remember, we just draw little lines, don't push too hard into the 2 pieces you're connecting. That is called score. And then we apply the glue of clay, slip, to both pieces. And then attach and smooth. Okay, so as that dries and becomes air dry, those 2 pieces should not fall apart. Okay, while my pinch pot is plastic, in the plastic stage, that's when it's best to push in. If you want to do patterns, just getting into a little bit more techniques than what I showed last time. So I have this tool here. I'm just going to, actually I want to start down here. Push in some texture, look like perhaps some scales. So when it's plastic, that's when it's best to use push into the clay body. So now I just look at my sketch some more. I notice that I want to bring my mouth in a bit right here. Just notice when I looked at photographs that that's how the mouth went, to come in. And I'll go ahead and attach the rest of my pieces. Okay, there's my fish. And now my bear's been sitting out. This is a great time to do carving once it's been become more leather hard. So I can, for example, take this tool here. It's called a wire tool. So you can do some carving like this. Okay, so now that this is, it was more leather hard, it was easier to carve into. So I've carved in a fur texture and just a few additional little details that I pushed in. And I just double check. I'm going to have both now be done. And we call that greenware when we're done and we're ready to let it start to air dry. Remember, that's about a 7 to 10 day process for it to air dry. We must make sure that all of the moisture that we can get to come out of it comes out of it through evaporation before it goes into the kiln, or it could possibly crack and break. And I noticed that my name and class code were no longer there. So we must make sure we have name and class code. And we make sure that that's on the bottom of both projects. And now that I am calling them complete, I leave them out of the bag.
So this is a kiln where clay goes when it is bone dry. That's leaving it out in the air for about 7 to 14 days. This is showing the size. They're pretty big. This is about the size you would see in a lot of our schools. And you can see by this next picture that they can come even bigger. Kilns come in many different sizes and varieties. In fact, they can be made quite large. This is more of a homemade style of kiln. And kilns can come even quite small. There's even more to show. There's tons of different types of kilns. This next picture shows that they really do get quite hot. We usually fire the kilns up to about 1800 to 2000 degrees, as hot as lava. And this picture reminds us that heating clay up to make it strong is an ancient art form, thousands and thousands of years old. And this unfortunate bunny shows us what happens when the clay is too thick, or if we don't let it get bone dry. You can trap water molecules in the clay, and when they heat up, they turn into a gas and explode if they're not able to escape. So that's the problem with going over an inch thick or not letting it become bone dry. So not good. All right, McGarvey out.